Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Let's Play Mega Man Zero. When we last left off, I was about to discuss what the element chips are. Because, unlike the Mega Man X series, where Zero would get new powers by beating Mavericks that would give him new maneuvers, the first Mega Man Zero mostly does away with that. Like I said, there's the leveling up system to get yourself extra attacks by way of, extra saber swings, and if you max it out, you can also get, the rolling, dashing, and jump roll spin maneuvers. But as far as actual elements go, the Mega Man Zero series has only, 3 major elements. That is Thunder, Ice, and Fire. Now, we just got our first Thunder chip, and the thing about these chips is all they really do is add element capabilities to your existing charge attacks. And before I get to more on that, apparently we're going to be listening to this old son of a gun. Boring stories, boring, I don't care. Give me a cyber elf. But yeah, the thing about all element chips is give you added. I think I might have done something about what she's talking about earlier. Just a thought. Yeah, I'm just going around talking to a whole bunch of people, going places, running around in the open world as only I can. Except here, because apparently there's an electric trap in the way right now. So, yeah. Elements affect your charged weapon strikes. Now, that even if it's a charged Buster Shot or a charged Saber Slash. So, in essence, between the 3 elements, there's basically a rock, paper, scissors style of one element is the weakness of another, yada yada yada. Not all enemies and bosses even have elemental weaknesses, though, so that's another thing to take into consideration. But, from what I recall, anything with a fire element is usually weak to the electric element. Anything with an electric element is weak to the, I believe, the ice element. And ice is weak. Anything with an ice or water element is weak to fire. At least that's the way I think. It's been a while since I recorded this footage, and I've been very distracted. But back on the subject of Cyber Elves, since I'm collecting a lot of them, is that yes, these Cyber Elves basically replace what would be your upgrades in other games for things like heart tanks and sub tanks, and just general chip upgrades like there would have been in Mega Man X6 and X5, even. Just general enhancement stuff. And there's also a lot of just general helper type Cyber Elves that can either do attacks for you or just serve as a quick and dirty life restore. And in order to use these elves, you basically have to go to a given trans server and download a maximum of 3 elves into your inventory. Then you go to the pause screen in your inventory, and you tap on that elf to use them. But like I said before, if you use a cyber elf, the game will not be happy with you. Let's just say that much, you know. And I think I didn't really elaborate on that before, but your score does have some. Like I say, the game is sort of a double-edged system with these cyber elves. It is entirely possible to play these games without having to worry about your score at all. But in most games, up until 0-4, having a score lower than A rank means that bosses will not use their EX skills against you. Now, that's more prevalent in Mega Man 0, 2, and 3. In the first game, it's mostly just for, in this case, an achievement. So I'm not super bothered about that, but at the same time, I was already sort of committed to this challenge run, so I'm not using any cyber elves in this playthrough. So it's kind of a pain in the ass, but I've proven that it is possible by doing this playthrough. Alright, now we're on to our next boss, the Train Engine Core. Which appears to be another one of those blue mono-eyed Reploids inside whatever that thing is. No, it spews fire, but it doesn't have any elemental weakness or strength. Whoa! Do not go for the spikes, that is bad. Yeah, this game likes to try and kill you a lot! Ooh. But, you know, with enough practice and all of the get good that there is in the world, you can eventually beat just about anything and everything in this game without using any cyber elves. You still have to collect a few cyber elves as part of your missions, and I'm also just going to collect every cyber elf in the game full stop. And I'm just going to keep that up through Mega Man 03 as only I can. But now that the cyber elf that was abducted has been returned, I don't know how cyber elves can be abducted or what. It's an odd little thing. But, yeah. The other thing, and Aseel's talking about this, is that you have to raise certain cyber elves in order to use them. That's what those energy crystals that I talked about before were all about. Because you have to level up a certain number of cyber elves to use them at all. And some of them take an ungodly number of E-crystals in order to do, which is another reason why I don't care for the system. They're just like, you're already having me grinding so that I can use my weapons at their full strength. Get their full capability. And you want me to grind to get E-crystals to feed to the cyber elves that using will only cause the game to say, oh, you're not a good player, we're not gonna give you a good score anymore. But because I'm kind of a stubborn and stupid fool, I decided to do that anyway. And not bother to use them. There's also a kind of an awkward and stringent thing about cyber elves in the Man Zero series. It's more problematic in the first game, is that some cyber elves only appear if you destroy a certain number of certain enemies in certain stages, or missions in this game, because it is possible to return to some of these stages after you've completed their missions, but if you didn't collect the cyber elf during the mission that was attached to the stage, you won't get it when you return there. That does not count for the cyber elves that are locked in boxes, though. You know, if it's a cyber elf that was in a box and you happen to leave it behind, then that should be fine. But if it's one of those things where it's a X number of cyber elves, X number of enemies to reveal a cyber elf, then you're kind of hosed. I should also mention that for a game that's kind of Metroidvania-ish, it doesn't really help that, honestly, built for the design as it is, it's still not built for the design. Because one of the things that makes this game super difficult is that you don't exactly get extra lives in the Mega Man Zero series. You get extra continues, at least in 0-1. And you have a limited number of continues. You can get more by picking up the Z icons here, there, and everywhere. But compared to extra lives, the continues are just not that great. Now, thankfully, the collection has those new save points added to the game so that you don't have to worry about it as much. And honestly, I commend them for adding those to the game, but at the same time, it is a little bit broken, because they basically are kind of like save points, and it doesn't matter how much health that you had when you pass those save points. If you happen to reload that save point, you'll be back at full health. So it's also kind of cheap. It's just like, you could technically... yeah. You could technically pass one of those points if you don't have... if you don't have full health. You could load up your point to get full health to move forward. I don't do that very often because that's kind of ridiculous and time-consuming. But now we have another boss. This one's a little bit weird. Ow. Oh, it's got like dragon heads on it. Incidentally, that's another thing about this game, that because I haven't practiced or really looked into the tech much of these games, I was kind of in the dark about how things like combos work in this game. Because, you know, in most other Mega Man games, the thought process is use charge shots all the time to do max damage. But Mega Man Zero has kind of a system wherein leading one slash or shot into another is actually more advantageous more often than not for dealing more damage. Like, charge shots and charge slashes can do a massive amount of damage all at once, but they ultimately end up granting bosses more invincibility frames to recover from that sort of stuff than you would if you just did combo slashes. And honestly, that's just me not practicing these games as much as I should, and not remembering all the combo tech of these games. But hey, I get by. And by destroying that boss, we get the fire chip. I reckon it fired everything. Oh, flame chip, yeah. What am I saying? But yeah. I am a warrior! And with this mission complete, we now have a factory to collect energy from, I guess. In fact, it's actually, if you know how to get back to that factory by foot, it's advantageous to go back there to grind energy crystals between missions. you still have to deal with the bottomless pits, which is why outside of this version of the game, I wouldn't recommend it. Unless you were emulating it with save states and whatnot, but still. It just like, for an open world game to have bottomless pits, and to use your continues for that sort of thing, don't. Do not waste your continues if you fall into a bottomless pit while you're not on a mission. Anyway, our next mission, we're going out into the middle of the desert to rescue some of our comrades who have ran afoul of the enemies in New Arcadia, the enemy force slash nation of this game that we're up against. Yeah, in case you hadn't, because I've not really been on top of things, that Mega Man Zero places us in the perspective of those who have been declared mavericks rather than a group of maverick hunters. And we're fighting for our right to live. You know, all because Neo Arcadia decided arbitrarily that, yeah, we're not worth it. And apparently it's X who's running Neo Arcadia. That seems kind of odd, you know, given that X was such a big hero to have his own game series dedicated to him. So, there's a lot of question. What the heck happened to X? Why is he having Reploids killed for no apparent reason? Why are we fighting with the Resistance? Why do we look like this, apart from the art style change? You know, I know there's some sources who would say, oh, there must have been a point sometime between Zero going to sleep and waking up when he was, you know, Reploid designs all ended up changing and the like. And honestly, I just feel like that's why it's best to ignore anything in the timeline past Mega Man X6 as even being part of the ongoing story that leads into Mega Man Zero, because it's just like, ultimately, not only is it just pointless, it just creates more problems. And now we have reached another boss, Anubis Necromances III.
I am the King of Destruction and the ruler of the desert. The Reploids you are searching for are deep in the desert. If you wish to rescue them, you need to defeat me first. On guard, old-timer!
I mean, if you say so. This guy's got a pretty easy and predictable pattern to exploit. So, I might take a few hits here, but that's mostly me just being stupid. Yeah, ow. This is a fairly simple boss if you know the pattern. Anubis Necromancer. Necromancies. Whatever you call them. Ow. Yeah, I don't know why I'm having such trouble here. But I slice him in half! And under normal circumstances, that would be mission complete, but he's not what we came out here for. Are you alright? I'm alright. You came to rescue me. Thank you very much. Can you walk? Yes. I'll help you get back to the base. Follow me. Oh yes, we have ourselves an escort mission. Which, wouldn't be so bad. But this guy is limping. He's not doing too well. Like, we had our escort of CL at the beginning of the game, but she was pretty good about keeping up with you. And it's just like, even if she did fall behind, she would rubber band to your look to keep up with you. But This guy we kind of have to keep pace with in order to make sure that he does alright and take out all the traps along the way so that he doesn't get caught in them. So this isn't tedious at all. Worst part is because of all the screen crunch and the way enemies decide to come out of nowhere from off screen, like that frickin' vulture. And that doesn't change depending on... And that doesn't change for anything, honestly. That's the biggest problem with this game is that there's come on. Come on! There's enemy respawn and it happens all too quickly. So there's no way that you can just run on ahead of this guy, clear everything out, and expect it to be okay. You have to keep pace with him, you have to keep it in front of him to make sure that nothing snags him. Because running on ahead and taking these things out before he gets there isn't going to help. Hurry up. And yeah, he does get hurt whenever something flies into him, but I'm trying my best here. Yeah, I'm picking up any health capsules as much as I can during this playthrough because I have such a small health bar and I'm never gonna get any bigger. Because I refuse to use any cyber elves for help. Because I'm just stupid like that. And or nice. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just kind of stubborn like that. Particularly with the first Mega Man Zero game. But that ends this part. As always, I'd like to thank absolutely everyone for watching. There will be links in the description below to my various social media outlets, as well as to my coffee page. This is mission complete. And the Devasia mentality here will tell you peace out, Slayers.